Now, the topic for today is EPZ, SEZ, and NIMZ. India is one of the first countries in Asia to have an EPZ, which is an export processing zone. The first EPZ was set up in Kandla in 1965, which was the first EPZ in Asia. So, the sole purpose of EPZ was to promote exports. In 2000, a new concept came, which was an improvisation over EPZ, which was the SEZ. It was a improvisation over the EPZ that was following because India's EPZ policy was not really that successful. So what was this SEZ? So SEZ was basically it is an enclave within a country which is totally duty free. So SEZ was an enclave which is totally duty free, and it has the business and commerce laws within an SEZ are totally different from the rest of the country. The main objective is to promote business. So the government announced an SEZ policy in 2000 for the first time, and the parliament passed the SEZ Act in 2005, and it came into force in 2006. However, under the foreign trade policy, the first proposal of SEZ came in under the foreign trade policy of 2000, and under that, between 2000 and 2005, there were many operational SEZs in India before getting a formal statutory backup in the year 2005. So what were the main objectives of the SEZ? In order to boost economic activity, to boost exports, generate employment, and also boost domestic and foreign investments, and develop infrastructure. So infrastructure development, economic development, increase economic activity, increase employment opportunities, increase exports, etc. Now, what were the rules that were provided for these SEZ? They were simplified rules. There would be a lot of relaxations that would be given, tax relaxations, etc. That would be given, like there would be duty-free import or domestic procurement of goods for developing, operating, and maintaining. So the units that were located within the SEZ, there would be duty-free import. Since an SEZ is considered as a foreign territory, so all the benefits that are given to things from the inputs were given to SEZ. Along with that, the benefits that are given to the exporters are also available for SEZ. So it was basically twin benefit. So there would be duty-free import. Generally, we don't have duty-free import, but SEZ is something that is considered as something that is outside the territory of India, and at the same time it gets benefits that the domestic sector gets. So there would be duty-free import or domestic procurement of goods for developing, operating, and maintaining the SEZ. Then there would be 100% tax exemption on export income for SEZ units. So these SEZs are mainly considered places from there where the country would boost its exports. So there would be, on all exports from these SEZ, there would be 100% tax exemption for the first 5 years. Then 50% for the next 5 years, and 50% of the plowed back profit for the next 5 years. And they would have a sunset clause for units which will become effective from 2020. So after this sunset clause means the time period after which all these benefits leaves 5 year tax exemptions on export, they go away. There's an end to it, and the units in the SEZ function as normal. They would be charged normally the normal rate of taxes on their export income. Then they would be exempted from the minimum alternate tax. Minimum alternate tax is for small units which where they show book profit is 0. So when they do, and as a result they don't pay corporate tax. So The small units pay minimum alternate tax, but units within the SEZ are exempted from this minimum alternate tax. They were also exempted from the CST, service tax, and state sales tax, which have now of all been subsumed under the GST. And all the supplies that are all the supplies that go into these SEZ units, they are all exempted from the IGST Act. And they also provide from single window clearance for all kinds of central and state level approvals. And there is no need for a license to import. So they can import without any import license. 100% FDI is allowed except in a few sectors. Now there is profits earned are permitted to be repatriated freely with no need for dividend balancing. And there is no need for separate documentation for customs and export-import policy. So these are the facilities or incentives for the SEZ. Apart from that, the rules that provide for now how is a SEZ? What is the criteria, or who determines how an SEZ will get an approval? It's again a single window process for getting the SEZ approval, which contains 19 interministerial SEZ boards. Now, the SEZ is under the control of the state government. Like for the land, etc., land acquisition, etc., allocating of land is under the central government makes a set of rules, etc., for the SEZ, but land related matters, land acquisition, etc., is under the allocating of land is under the state government. So the developer who wants to develop a SEZ, a particular SEZ, gives a proposal to the state government. State government then forwards it to the board of approval. It is a 19-member board. Within 45 days, the state government has to forward the proposal. Or the developer can directly submit the proposal to the board of approval. Now this board is constituted by the central government, and it is a 19-member board. Considering all the merits, etc., all the decisions that are taken by the board are by consensus, and this board is chaired by the Secretary of the Department of Commerce of the Ministry of Commerce, and it also has members from CBDT, CBEC, which have now Central Board of Customs and Excise has been Central Board for Indirect Taxes, which is the recent improvisation of the name, and Department of Commerce, Department of Economic Affairs, Department of Commerce, Ministry of Science and Technology, Ministry of Urban Development, Home Affairs, Law and Justice, all these people are there in the board. And once the board gives its approval, the central government notifies, and the SEZ is formed. Now, what are the rules for SEZ? Simplified procedures to operate, develop and maintain SEZ, single window clearance for the SEZ, single window clearance for matters related to central and state governments, simplified compliance and documentation. So they are not into it. The objective is to make the documentation process and all procedures simple, so that the SEZ it can easily come up, and it without any hassle, without any kind of hassle in procurement of land or any kind of or any kind of documentation, so that there is smooth functioning and smooth promotion of exports, and different minimum land requirements for different classes of SEZ. Now there are SEZs are classified into different classes, and based on that they are classified. So there will be different allocations of land depending on the kind of SEZ it is. Now the maximum SEZ is in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu has the maximum SEZ. And as of now, there are around 238 SEZs that are operational. And 64% of these SEZs are located in these 5 countries. So it's mainly concentrated in big states like Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Telangana, Karnataka. Okay. So operational are 238. Around 5168 has been given approval. So this is now after SEZ we come to a new thing that is known as NIMZ, which was a further improvisation. Like it was not an improvisation on the SEZ, it was a new concept that was adopted in the National Manufacturing Policy of 2011. The National Manufacturing Policy spoke of creating National Investment Industrial Manufacturing Zone, or the NIMZ. So what were these NIMZ and how were they different from the SEZs? So it was brought about under the new manufacturing policy of DIPP. The main objective is to promote manufacturing. So they were dedicated zones for promoting manufacturing, promote investments in manufacturing, and our objective of the national manufacturing policy was to ensure that the manufacturing sector, which lags behind in terms of its contribution to GDP, to make sure that the manufacturing sector contributes 25% of GDP, and to make India a manufacturing hub and generate 100 million jobs. So this was the objective. So with this objective, these dedicated units, which were known as National Investment and Manufacturing zones were created. So it would consist of a special purpose vehicle. The structure would have a special purpose vehicle, a developer, state government, and central government. The central government will notify it in the Gazette. Then an SPV. SPV is like a dedicated body which is created for only a particular purpose. An SPV would be constituted, which would have all the legal powers to discharge its functions to manage the affairs of the National Investment and Manufacturing Zone. And it would have SPV shall be a legal entity by the name of NIMZ. This SPV will be a company including a Section 25 company depending on the Memorandum of Understanding between stakeholders. Now, what would the benefits, what would the units that are located within the NIMZ have? There would be, the government would give security to the workers who are working in these units on in the NIMZ, so that if there's a business closure or there's a loss, then they would be given a suitable compensation and insurance, etc. And this would also act as a it would also act in a way so that these the employers or these units, the persons operating these units, they work efficiently. They make their units work function efficiently, so that they don't have to go for closures, because if they have to go for closures, they just cannot retrench their employees. They would have to give a suitable amount of compensation because there's a job loss policy. Now, if an unit within, second is, if an unit within a firm is declared sick, then there will be facility for transfer of assets from that particular, say from firm A to firm B. There will be a facility for transfer of assets, which will be facilitated by the special purpose vehicle that has been created. Now, there's exemption from the capital gains tax. Capital gains tax is the is the tax on profits by buying or selling of shares of these units. So they would not have to give tax on their buying and selling of shares. And there would be skill upgradation programs which are coordinated with the National Skill Development Council. There would be multilateral soft loans from multilateral institutions for infrastructure development. And these manufacturers within the NIMZ, they will be also allowed to borrow from abroad using these external commercial borrowings. So apart from that, there will be incentives if they use green technology. So a water audit will be mandatory, environmental audit will be mandatory. They will be exemption from the water cess. So they would not have to pay the water cess. They would be having 10% one-time capital subsidy for practicing zero water discharge. So they would be given capital subsidy for practicing zero water discharge. There will be rainwater harvesting, which will be compulsory. There will be incentives for the green building, like the Griha ratings, etc. for the buildings, and different incentives will be given for adopting these renewable energy targets. This is about the NIMZ. Now, what is the difference between an NIMZ and SEZ? Now, NIMZ and SEZs were created for export purposes. NIMZ was created in order to boost manufacturing, so that they become major hubs for manufacturing and generating jobs. So it was not only for export, it was for also domestic manufacturing. And so hence NIMZ has a much larger area than the traditional SEZ. But it contains the flexibility, etc. in rules and regulation, just like the SEZ. A few things apart from what I was being told in the SEZ, the government, an SEZ, the NIMZ will be declared in course of time by the state government as an industrial township under Article 243 QIC of the Constitution, which deals with urban local bodies. And as I said, it would be managed by the SPV. And there would be the proposals in the policy, it would be sector neutral. So it would not matter which sector the NIMZ is created, whether it's on electronics or gem and jewelry. The proportionally the clauses or the proposals in the policy are sector neutral, location neutral and technology neutral, except those for green technology development. And three NIMZs, namely Prakasham, Sangareddy and Kalinagar, have been accorded final approval. Kalinagar was recently awarded, Sangareddy recently awarded approval, and 13 NIMZs have been accorded in principal approval. There are 9 NIMZs outside the DMIC corridor. The government would play a prominent role along with the participation and active participation of the private sector, and also NIMZs will be developed via the PPP mode. So this is about NIMZ. Now recently there was a committee, or the Baba Kalyani committee, which gave its report on SEZ. So the Baba Kalyani committee was formed in 2018 under the Ministry of Commerce, and to look after the working of the SEZs in India and see if they are compatible with the law. So the objectives were to evaluate the SEZ policy and see if it's WTO compatible, and it would suggest measures for maximizing the utilization of vacant land in SEZ, and it would, based on international experience, it would suggest policy changes and merge SEZ policy with other schemes like Coastal Economic Zone, DMIC, NIMZ, etc. The objective was also the merger of these of SEZ with other schemes like the Coastal Economic Zones, etc. So what did the Baba Kalyani committee recommend? It recommended that there should be a framework shift, that is, from our objective of promoting export, it should be towards promoting employment and economic growth. And so manufacturing and service SEZs should have separate rules and procedures. This was another recommendation, that the SEZs which are functioning for promotion of which the main objective is export promotion of manufacturing articles and export promotion of service. These two sectors, they should have separate rules and procedures. And the other important thing was they would have a demand driven approach instead of a supply driven approach. So depending on what demand is there in the international market, depending on that, the SEZs would divert or create their products. So it would have a demand driven approach in order to improve the efficiency, investment based on certain industries. And this would also help us get rid of inventories, and it would create a framework for ease of doing business. And there would be one integrated portal for new investments, operational requirements, and exit related matters. So SEZs that are loss making, or units within an SEZ that are loss making and that want to get out, or whatever the operational requirements are for new investments, that would have a new platform, a new integrated online portal. So the next important recommendation is, in order to make it competitive, in order to attain the ease of doing business, there should be multimodal connectivity. Funding should be there for multimodal connectivity, business services, utility infrastructure, etc. And it should also promote industrial and urban development, like walk-to-work zones, state and centers, to coordinate on the framework to bring all these linkages. And the sunset clause, 2020 was the sunset clause, this should be extended. And the retaining of the tax and duty benefits, they should be there. There should be an extension. For developers and tenants, in order to improve their operation exist issues, there should be relaxation, procedural relaxations. And the definition should be broadened so that different services can work under the same roof, under one SEZ. And unified regulator for IFSC, utilizing multi-services SEZ IFSC for all IFSC is in International Financial Service Center for all kinds of investment of the country. So it should facilitate all kinds of facilities that are available to the IFSC by giving different incentives. Extension of benefits under the export incentives scheme. Now, under the export incentive schemes, whatever were the benefits, they should be extended, and alternate sectors to invest in sector-specific SEZ or the 3 E's, sector-specific SEZ, or the centers for economic and employment growth, etc. So the flexibility of long-term lease for developers and tenants. SEZs are also known as employment and economic enclaves. So these are the new names for SEZ, according to the Baba Kalyani committee, which says that these would be employment and economic enclaves. So they should also get export incentive schemes, and they should allow different sectors to invest in these economic enclaves and employment and economic enclaves. And they should have the flexibility of long-term lease. So these developers should get flexibility. Basically, the all kinds of facilities that were there, like tax relaxations, customs relaxations, they should be extended. They should get longer lease. They should get facilities from the IFSC SEZ by the domestic institutions. And there should be multiple all service sector and manufacturing sector SEZ should be separated, and there should be multiple like in the service sector SEZ there should be multiple services coming together. And domestic supplies that support the Make in India program should be considered, given special consideration. And export duty, no export duty on goods supplied to developers and used in the manufacturing of goods exported. and flexibility in the usage of NPA. NPA are these non-performing assets, that is the units that are not generating any return. So how the developers can use it or sell it, the flexibility should be given. Infrastructure status, so that there is improved access to finance and long-term borrowing. If a particular thing is given the infrastructure status, then it has greater access to long-term finance. And MSME should be encouraged to participate, and there should be arbitration in commercial courts so that the dispute resolution is easy. And we have the New Delhi International Arbitration Center bill, which has received the cabinet approval. Now, what of the recommendations of the Baba Kalyani committee that has been implemented? So the government has reviewed specific exclusions that are in terms of net foreign earning computation in the light of Make in India initiative. So certain exclusions that have been proposed to these these 3 E's in the Make in India initiative, these are under consideration, because these units are basically net foreign exchange earners. The government wants them to become net foreign exchange earners. Now, duty as exempted assets and infrastructure between units. So duty exempted assets or infrastructure between SEZ units, they should be allowed. So against specific approval, so these sharing of these assets, duty exempted assets, they should be allowed between these SEZ units, and the government has approved of it. Then formalization of the denotification process. So the denotification process and the present usage of these enclaves, the present enclaves that are there, which are used only for the SEZ purposes, the delinking of it so that they can be used for multiple purposes, because the main objective, one of the objectives of this group was to ensure that there is a collaboration, or there's a there is a merger, or there's a collaboration between these different like the coastal export zones, these NIMs and SEZ, they should be brought under one roof. So this process has also been approved. So the denotification process, and a particular unit can be used only as an SEZ, that strictness, that rigidity has been done away with. And servicification of manufacturing zone, so allowing manufacturing enabling service companies. So a particular SEZ unit that is dedicated to manufacture, so that it can also different service sectors that help the manufacturing unit to boom. So such kind of manufacturing sectors and service sectors should be brought under one SEZ, and the government has approved of it. Multiple services to come together, and there should be flexibility in a long-term agreement with stakeholders in the zones in line with state policies. So the way forward is that we should look for greater cohesiveness in our policies, so that the whatever are our whatever good benefits that our country is reaping from sectors like IT, they should so that there's a spillover effect, and we can actually promote other service sectors like our pharmaceutical sector, financial services, legal, etc., legal services, etc. That growth in those sectors can be promoted with the help of our already successful or already booming sectors. And our ultimate objective is to make manufacturing sector contribute 25% of GDP and generate 100 million jobs by 2022. And also make our SEZs compliant with the existing WTO structure. That's all. Thank you.